million even. It's approximately a $24 million increase above the current 2021 school year budget. That increase is primarily due to the $16.7 million increase in state aid and $9 million increase in CARES Act funding. The biggest thing to mention right off the bat would be that this budget proposed has no tax rate increase to New Brunswick residents. So the tax rate would stay the same for all homeowners in the city. Their taxes would not rise due to this budget proposal. The budget has 40 new positions in the budget, half of which are to support bilingual and special education programs. And the budget has also significant facility upgrades, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. The budget focuses on the following instructional priorities. These are obviously aren't all the instructional priorities, but these are some of the main priorities that I would point out. It meets all the instructional needs, includes increased funding for summer school and academic support programs, to increase those programs to enroll more students in them. The budget is able to provide additional social and emotional supports for students. Previously stated, we're looking to enhance our special education and bilingual and ESL programs, providing dual language in 4th grade and increased ESL and bilingual teachers, and increased special education teachers and support staff. The budget has increased funds for mental health services for students in order to provide more mental health services to students in this very difficult time. Right? We also will continue our Chromebook purchasing plan, where every student does have a one-to-one device, but we'll continue to upgrade those devices every year to have the most up-to-date Chromebooks and the best technology available for our students. The budget will afford us the ability to purchase traveling cases for all the students who have one-to-one devices in order to protect the devices. We're looking to purchase additional smart boards for classrooms to give teachers better technological support so they can teach in classrooms using smart boards, which I know they really utilize. We're also have increased funding for instructional support positions and other positions to support our Chromebooks and one-to-one. And last and certainly not least, we have increased funding pretty significantly for our instructional supplies and materials beyond the current year. Next, I'll really go over the facility upgrades that we're going to put in place to continue to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Due to the CARES Act funding, these are the items that we're going to implement immediately and not wait until the new budget begins on July 1st. We've already engaged the architects to get all the documents and go out to bid to upgrade the electrical service and install air conditioning units at Lincoln School, Livingston School, and Roosevelt School. So all schools will have air conditioning units. I know that was a priority of the Board of Education and the superintendent of schools. We're also going to purchase additional air purifier machines for classrooms and offices for staff in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. We already have purchased about 300 of those. We plan to increase that in order to provide more at the particular locations we feel they're necessary. On hand, we have over 400,000 masks. We're ready to have every student have a mask every day. If a student goes through a mask, we're prepared to continue to give them masks. Every teacher has a care package in their classroom right now, which includes gloves, wipes, PPE, masks for students, and we have budgeted money in order to continue to buy that as necessary to enhance our stock. We have temperature-taking machines at every school. We were going to buy a few additional ones just to ensure we can get kids in the schools with their temperature taking as fast as possible so we have no lines at the schools. We have purchased and are purchasing dividers for students' desks in order to keep everyone safe. We are going to be purchasing outdoor furniture so we can utilize some of the outdoor courtyards that we have in some of the schools where we can create classroom and cafeteria spaces. even looking to purchase some what I call gazebo structures in courtyards to provide some roofing to them, so that also creates some outdoor educational spaces. And last, again but not least, is transitioning our water fountains in the schools from individual drinking water fountains to where they're hydration stations, where we can have students fill their individual water bottles, so you do not have students drinking out of water fountains one after another. Water fountains have come a long day since you and I went to school, but I remember to drink out of the water fountain, you basically had to really get way too close for that water fountain. We don't want any of that happening, and we're going to get hydration stations in all the schools. I'll then scroll down to talk a little bit about the numbers. What you have in there is all the detailed information on the growth rate of the revenues and different numbers in terms of where we have a little bit extra miscellaneous revenue, we have some more carryover, we also have food service. Due to success with that, they are going to be transferring over $1 million to support our budget. We're looking to bring over the same $19 million from this year into next year as we did from last year into this year. And what's most important is in the appropriations, we have $7.3 million, a 7% increase, which is all the money budgeted to pay for the salaries of all the current staff and the 40 new positions in the budget. A lot of things we just spoke about equals the total of $7.5 million in non-salary accounts increases. And health benefits, there's the increase for health benefits costs for all the staff. Our early childhood budget is an increase of $775,000. And then the local and federal and state grants altogether will go up $5.5 million. And the charter schools, out of the $16.7 million in state aid, $735,000 immediately has to go to charter schools for their projected increases in enrollments and additional funding that they receive. And that concludes my presentation. As you know, we got our state aid on Thursday, so this has been put together in a very quick time fashion, and we will have a full, detailed budget presentation on March 23rd. Is there any questions from the Board of Education? And Dr. Johnson, any questions from Dr. Johnson or members of the cabinet?
Rich, I don't have a question. I want to, just to add to your opening, we're just at this point, to further our efforts in what we have done to prepare our district for reopening. What Rich, Mr. General, had just spoken about is a lot of enhancements to all the plans that we already have in place. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Johnson. Absolutely. Almost everything that we have in there, we already have. We're going to just continue to enhance them with more funding. Okay, Mrs. Solis, if you allow me then, I will proceed to...
Item number 4, the open questions from the public. Yes, absolutely.
Great. Thank you very much. We have 2 members of the public who have registered their intent to speak. I will first call on Charles Cradiville. Mr. Cradiville?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. General and members of the board. Charles Cradiville, resident of New Brunswick, editor of New Brunswick Today. I presume if this is like normal times, there's a kind of a PowerPoint presentation that you're all looking at. Of course, those of us on the telephone can't see it. Will that be posted to the web, or can somebody email that to me?
So the PowerPoint presentation, what I just read and explained is all already posted on the web. The PowerPoint where you're referring to the bar charts and pie charts that I normally use, that is everything that I present at the March 23rd public hearing on the budget.
Okay, thank you. I do want to ask.
It's available on the website.
Sorry. Thank you, sir. So I do want to ask a few questions about the Lincoln Annex. So is the $55 million fund accounted for in this budget? Can you tell me how much has already been spent of that $55 million?
Mr. Cradaville, this evening, we're only covering questions on the current budget for 2021, 2022, and the 55 million for Lincoln Annex is totally separate.
Is that correct? It's not a part of the budget at all. It's a separate fund, not included anywhere in the budget.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, it's a little strange and confusing. I don't know why it wouldn't be accounted for in the budget, but can you tell me how much the expenses for transportation are in this budget for the whole district?
Are you saying right now during COVID, or are you saying for 2021, 2022 school year?
In the budget before you tonight, so the one that was just introduced, I presume that accounts for, most of the children going to school and needing transportation. No?
That is not something that was part of the presentation this evening, Mr. Janneron, if you'd like to expand on that.
Sure. Yes, in the budget for transportation, there is about $9.4 million we spend on transportation for students in district and out of district to attend schools.
Okay. And can you tell me how much of that is going to be associated with, the Lincoln Annex being at 40 Van Dyke Avenue? Is there a figure for how much it's going to cost to transport the children to that location?
I don't have the numbers because those numbers aren't set for next year. We have to get our bids in for what those numbers would be. I could tell you whatever they are, all transportation to Lincoln Annex, as you already know, will be funded by the new school monies at Robert Wood Johnson. So this budget will not have to pay for any transportation costs to Lincoln Annex School.
Okay. And is that the 55 million or is that a separate fund just for transportation?
That's included in the 55 million. Now, again, Mr.
So, Lisa, that's actually money above and beyond the $55 million.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for correcting me, Mr. Janneron. I just wanted to clarify with you, Mr. Cradaville, that again, this is information that we don't have for tonight's meeting. So when you go ahead and look at the website, and for any members of the public that are currently looking at our website, you'll be able to see the presentation that we're looking at this evening. But on our March 23rd meeting, we'll be able to see a more thorough explanation as far as the budget is concerned.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just close with a comment then. I do think it would be wise for the district to, move into the 21st century and start having your meetings with a video component where, for instance, if you are giving a presentation with visuals, that they could be.
Thank you, Mr. Cradaville. I mean, if you have questions on the budget, please feel free to ask questions, but this is not a meeting for you to continue to go and speak on whatever you feel you need to speak about. So I'll now on, if allowed.
I was just making a respectful suggestion, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Cradaville. We'll take it under advisement. Mr. Janneron, if you could please call the next member of the public who's signed up to speak.
Thank you. I will now call to the microphone Ms. Linda Stork.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I think 40 additional staff are accounted for, but with thought given, it's not, and you said mostly for bilingual and for special ed.
Not mostly. What the presentation says is half. Half of those employees are supposed to help with bilingual and special education. Go ahead with your question, please.
Okay. So my question is, have you considered that some of the classes are crowded, and it might take more teachers at a grade level in a given, you might have to make more classes at a grade level, especially the classes that are in trailers. It's very hard to have distance between the kids in those trailers, which were really made for preschool. The trailers were designed for 15 preschoolers. So when you get 25, 30 older kids in there, it's very crowded. Has some thought been given to capping the class size, which would, of course, necessitate more staff for that purpose?
I'm not sure if you saw the full presentation on our school, on our district website, but one of the things that we would like to implement effective immediately is plexiglass barriers. And if there is a need for it, we will adjust accordingly.
Right. No, I did see the plexiglass barriers. I'm looking at the same preliminary budget summary that I guess everybody is. But I'm just thinking about that. You're just in terms of square, like room in a thing. Like I was a kindergarten teacher, so there's a lot of things that you're not doing in your little cubicle in kindergarten with a plexiglass barrier. You're, doing it in a group, or at least in a small group. You're at tables. You're not at individual areas, and just if there's too many bodies in too little space, it doesn't matter how many little plexiglass barriers you would put. So I
totally understand your concern, Mrs. Stork, and this is why I personally went to the McKinley K Center and I witnessed the students that were there using the hybrid model. I was fortunate enough to get a tour from Ms. Lagos, and I was able to witness the children. Each child in this grade range has their own materials because, like you said, you taught early education. So things like Play-Doh, things like crayons, these children are going to be supplied their own resources so that they don't have that immediate contact. Absolutely. And then things like gross motor, the equipment will be sanitized. So we are absolutely taking every precautionary measure possible to ensure the safety of the children in our district.
Okay, I would just certainly hope that that would include limiting the class size. It was a little different under a hybrid model because a lot of the children weren't there. And as I think the McKinley Center has always kept the class size low, but that is not true in the rest of the district. There have been as many as 30 kids in a trailer.
For the record, everyone would still be required to wear a face mask during instructional time. So unless they're eating or drinking, like during mealtime, they would still be asked to wear that face mask.
Okay, that's great. I personally feel like it would be safer to limit the number of students in an area, especially the trailers and the smaller classrooms, because all of the kindergarten and preschool, they're not in special like kindergarten classrooms. Some of them are just in a regular classroom, and some of them are small.
So if I may point out, and I didn't speak about this, but this budget has all the new positions that we would need for classroom size. We didn't talk about hybrid models, but I can assure you that there is no kindergarten classroom that we were in session pre-COVID that had more than 21 children in the classroom. Now, the district and the superintendent and the board obviously has a full plan for hybrid instruction, and we'll have a full plan for September, whether it's hybrid or whether it's full returning, in order to limit class sizes throughout the district in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And this budget affords us the opportunity in order to implement that plan successfully. Ms. Stork, you're almost out of time. Do you have any other questions?
Okay, no, that's what I wanted to hear. That's what I was waiting to hear, that there was enough calculated into that, because it's not specified.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
It is. So, And in March 23rd, again, we've had, 4 days to be able to give everyone a preliminary look at the budget. And then on March 23rd, we'll have a full presentation where we'll specify some of these things in order to talk more in detail.
Right, great, thank you.
Typically at these meetings, we like to stress and give the public, everybody, pre-glance look at what the tax rate to be as taxpayers in the city of New Brunswick. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear there's no tax rate increase, and those are the things we like to focus on in these preliminary budgets, so then we can really get into the detail at the next board meeting at the public hearing.
Right, that is good news about the tax rate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. General, and I believe there's no one else that signed up for speaking this evening?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, so item number 5, if I could have a motion to accept a resolution for the Board of Education to approve the submission of the proposed preliminary budget.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
Roll
Mr.
call.
General?
Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood.
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla.
Yes.
Mrs. Shukaitis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer.
Yes.
Ms. Varela. Ms. Varela.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you so much, Mr. General, and if I could please have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. General?
Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski.
Yes.
Seawood.
Yes.
Tia.
Yes.
Mrs. Shukaitis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer.
Yes.
Varela.
Yes.
Solis.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you so much, Rich. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you very much,
Good
everyone.
night, everyone.
Good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Good night, everyone.